I remember someone at some point on the conference line was like, nothing makes my day like ruining somebody's life.
Welcome to AOL.
Welcome to AOL Underground.
Please state your handle and the years you were active on AOL.
I went by single and I was active from about 1998 to around 2005 or 6, right in there somewhere.
Nice. When did you first use a computer?
First, like actual first use, I was really young. It was a preschool. I was in like an advanced preschool in the city, and they had a 2E that I used to mess around on and make little things that we could print out on like an old printer. It was kind of cool. First time I actually used a real computer was my aunt's at her motorcycle shop. So that was like a real, Windows, I don't even remember, 95 maybe.
Your aunt had a motorcycle shop? That's awesome.
Yeah. My uncle was a custom builder. They had a shop where they serviced and sold motorcycles.
Sweet. So tell me about how you found AOL.
I think like a lot of people, because I've listened to, I think, every episode so far, and everyone got the disc or they got the, the floppy or they got the trial. And my cousin and I, we just did it on our own. We didn't tell anyone either. So we were like sneaking out in the shop, in little chats and clicking around, just trying to figure it out. And I think that was 2.5, AOL 2.5, if I either that or 3. But that was the for the first time. But when I first got the actual, like a computer at my house, an old, terrible IBM, we did the trial and I was hooked after that at my house. So
that's awesome. So how'd you find the scene?
I found the scene pretty quickly, actually. It was probably my first or second day clicking around in chat rooms. And I can still remember someone scrolled a macro of an airplane. And as soon as I saw that, I was, what is that? That's amazing. How do I do that? And I started asking around, and someone said it's called a macro. And that like instantly led me to private room macros. And there the journey began.
Nice. So tell me about the journey. So what happened after that?
I started with macros really and trying to figure that out. But when I got my first macro studio, I thought that was just like the coolest thing ever. And I had like shout outs and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And right from there, I always wanted to learn how to do it. So I got a Visual Basic 3 from a server room because somebody told me you can go here and get it. Type in, file 1100 through 1104, and bam. Visual Basic, and then we started there. And I just really wanted the chat sends, man. Everyone had cool gothic nightmares and bloodlust species, and I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So I wanted it to say my name. And then I started.
What's Gothic Nightmare and Bloodlust Species? What is that?
Those are just programs that they might have had scrollers, idlers. They were kind of like a multi, like Rampage tools. You remember Rampage tools?
No.
They're just all around, like they were popular programs that would, send instant messages, punters. It had all this stuff all bundled together, and they had really cool chat sends, and they just hooked me right away.
Oh, like an all-in-one tool.
Yeah. It wasn't. This was kind of when everything was that they were just all bundled together, and the bigger the better, the more options, and eventually they just got ridiculous with like, this has 275 options, and a bunch of stuff you never use. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's kind of weird how over the years the programs kind of changed, and then like they got smaller and smaller until it got like ridiculous, and there was like no UI, and it was just a menu. And
Right. Sometimes even just like an icon, that would float and have a small menu of 2 things.
Yeah, then I think it went to like where you wanted to have a UI that you didn't have normal buttons, so you'd have to like make the labels change colors when you hovered your mouse or something.
That's it. Oh yeah. Or yeah, you could do, and then you could really get creative and put different things. And you'd make the whole graphic interface and with no buttons at all, and everything was labels with nothing on them. It was those are fun times figuring out how to make stuff stand out and be different.
Yeah, that was super cool. So you were doing the macro stuff.
Yeah.
And then does that lead you to anything else?
It it always led to bad things, unfortunately. And these days, as I'm pushing 40 now, I look back and I go, what a terrible thing you did for all that time. But we got into and a good friend of mine actually, he got into it with me. He was the only one of our little group, and we started with the cards. We started with the all that stuff, man, and it was easy. And that I feel like that was like the forefront of identity theft and things like that. And I felt like we were right there in it, all of us as the whole scene. We just traded stuff like that like it was nothing because we were kids, and it didn't seem like we were doing something wrong. But yeah, the scene macros turned into massive phishing, massive spamming, massive carding, and just acquisitions of cards and fake sites, dummy sites, and yeah, that's where that went pretty quick.
So what were the fake sites and dummy sites used for?
We would just we'd basically steal AOL's code, their HTML from like a sign up page or even something that just looked official, and edit it. So it would say you'd send a link to like an Angel Fire or GeoCities or something that said like update your account information. And it looked, for the average person, it looked pretty official. And it would just say, we need a non AOL account. And they'd click send and it would just send it right to our email. And, if you spam 10,000 of those a day, people do it.
Wait, what do you mean you need a non-AOL account?
Well, to create a new AOL account with a credit card, it cannot have an existing account on it. So you could get a regular card and card things like sites and whatever, but to create a new AOL account, you needed a card that we call them nons because it didn't have an account registered to it yet. So we would say, oh, yeah, we just need a backup payment or our backup payment information. Just enter it here. And it would say, yep, authorized, and people would just go on about their business. And then they just sent us their secondary credit card as well as the card that they have on file with AOL.
Oh, you get them both.
We get them both. And we learn that eventually, well, maybe we should ask for the other one too while we're at it. Yeah, why not? And I feel so bad because now I'm like I hate to say a regular person, but with a family and stuff. And I'm like, dude. And that was just the start of it. That was just like, oh, that was like a Tuesday, to be young again.
Yeah, right? So it's kind of like fishing for credit cards.
Yes.
Wait, what would you do with the cards?
Well, they were kind of used as currency too. So if you had, 100 cards, you could say, I have 100 cards, 50 nons. What can you give me for that? 3 characters, lowercase, elite screen names, whatever. Or people just wanted them to do whatever they were going to do with them. So you could use it as currency, or we were carding sites for people at school, and we carded a digital camera once before digital cameras were even like a thing. Didn't even have like a preview screen. It was just like, you could take 400 pictures, and that was like the coolest thing ever. Concert tickets, because they would send them right through the mail. So it didn't really even matter if you had a drop. It would just get mailed in a handwritten envelope, concert tickets and stuff. Kid stuff, nothing that even mattered.
Did you have drops then? Were you worried about like the police catching on?
No, we knew about drops, and there were plenty of zombie properties in our neighborhood because we live in the ghetto. But my buddy that did it with me, his house was like a madhouse, and he just didn't care. He was just like, oh, there's 12 people live at his house. So So if someone shows up knocking on the door, he said, "I'll just saying, I'll come and stay at your house." It was super reckless, and there was no proxy or no nothing. It was all just, and we used to think that because we were on dial up that we were safe. Like, doesn't matter, you get a new IP address every time. I don't know.
It's funny. The things you tell yourself.
Oh yeah, we would justify anything like, yeah, this is normal, this is okay.
So how did you end up in NV2?
There were my group of friends online, and I actually had my best friend died in my normal life, and I think I was looking for somewhere to belong, and these were already friends I had had for years, and it started as like a joke of this other group, Envy, and so I want to say it was crazed. He at least brought it to me and was like, "We're doing this thing, man. You want to be a part of it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a part of it. Let's be a part of it." And I lived in the city. I did a lot of crazy things as a kid. I was selling drugs and doing bad things, but I was never afraid. And these guys I was afraid of, man. I was scared. And they were my friends, but I was like,
Afraid in what way?
I was afraid, man. I felt cool. They were hardcore. It was a it was an interesting time, man. And I still got love for all of them to this day. I had to I had to step away because I got a case myself outside of AOL, and it was it was it was imperative that I did not mess up while I was taking care of that.
Are you able to talk about that?
Yeah, well, absolutely. When my friend died, his friends had a party for him, and I didn't know any of them. I only knew him. It was a week after his funeral, and I got into a thing with some guys that were there for the wrong reasons. They were there because it was a party, and I was there because it was a remembrance of my friend. I was 16, and a big melee broke out, and people ended up getting cut with a razor blade, and it was a big deal. And I ended up getting arrested and charged with 2 first-degree assault and 1 second-degree assault. And when I was out on bail, my bail was $25,000. And if after I closed the case, I was on probation, intensive supervision, felony probation. If I would have dropped the ball at all, I would have had to go do 5 to 15 minimum, 15 to 45 max if the judge saw fit. So I was walking on eggshells after that, and the NV2 guys were getting deep into some stuff, and I was like, "Whoo, it's time for me to. I might have to distance myself." And I went down after that. I know you heard all about that with Camo's talk, and I think a couple other guys are talking about it too, the LexisNexis thing, and that was happening all right while I was there with them. So I had to get away. I didn't want to, but
Fair enough.
yeah, I didn't want to. It felt wrong, but I remember someone at some point on the conference line was like, nothing makes my day like ruining somebody's life. And this was 20 years ago, and I still remember that. And I was like, look, I got goosebumps. I just thinking about it. That scared me as a kid. I got violent felonies. I'm out in the streets, but a person that I didn't even know that said that, because it seems so much more real to me, because outside life was just my regular life, living where I lived. And this whole other thing was like dangerous and scary and real. And it was kind of the opposite, I was worried about the wrong things.
You said you were afraid of the people.
Yeah, yeah.
What made you afraid?
I wasn't afraid of them like I'm scared of the monster under my bed kind of thing. I was afraid of what these guys were capable of, and I was just worried. I had a massive alcohol problem at the time, and I just remembered, like, what if I say the wrong thing, or what if I don't perform the way I feel like I should, or up to a certain level. And there was no level or of expectation, but it brought on this level of paranoia. Like, what if I drop the ball here? And it was scary. They scared me because I saw what happened. I saw what happened to people that were that went against what they were doing. And I remember we were on a conference line and we called somebody who was getting the shit kicked out of him. And he was begging, please, please stop. Just please stop. And I remember thinking, man, that sucks. Sucks to be you, man. But then I was like, man, what if that was me? What if I messed up? What if I said the wrong thing? So it was and they were people to be feared, man. They were serious. Those guys didn't mess around.
Wait, what do you mean, like shit getting kicked out of? Is this like?
Online wise, like I remember there was a where you could still do cash on delivery for big items, but I think you just had to have a card to get it sent. So they were sending like refrigerators and stuff to this dude's house, and he's probably 13, 14 years old, and and big boxes of dildos, 100 dildos, and
Oh my god!
oh yeah. And it was stuff like that, and he was begging, please, please. Then they started, everyone, I did it too. We did the swatting thing before that even had a term, and the ambulance have the fire trucks showing up to the house. And that was just like, if you said, fuck NV2, you were going to end up getting a visit. Someone was going to pull your information. And then next thing you know, it was heavy. I mean, so then when you start to think about those things, you're like, man, being on the receiving end of this, what a terrible thing. And we didn't care. We just, we thought it was funny, but I would go to sleep at night like, damn, just better watch my mouth.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but they were all my friends, and never. I mean, they actually were sympathized with me when I was going through like the worst time of my life, and they made me feel good. And I remember I would pass out drunk on the conference line and wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and still hear all the same voices on the phone. And I pick up the phone and I say, all right, guys, I'm gonna go to bed. And they had like a crew website, I remember, and it had like members, Getting Crazed, Camo, Majestic. And then when it got to single, it said, fishing, programming, drinks too much. And I always thought that was cool, that it was like they made light of that I was really struggling with something, and it was recognized that I had a problem. I always felt good about that. I felt good that they actually cared that I was not doing the right thing, and maybe I should stop doing all this extra stuff that I was ruining myself with.
Right on.
But I was still scared.
Is that because like you came to the group later? Then like was the group like already established when you came in, so you kind of felt like the new guy, or?
No, I was pretty early on. I was probably in the original 5, 6 people. I actually think it carried on and got bigger after I backed out, because a couple of guys that were on a previous episode, I don't really remember their names 100%, but they told the story as it was. So, I mean, they were a part of it. And but again, I also had drug and alcohol problems for a lot of years after that. So my memory isn't always exactly how I think it was, but so I think it carried on for a while after I left.
Are there any specific things you remember that you want to talk about that you thought were interesting?
About the envy or about the whole scene experience?
Well, I guess for envy for right now, I'm just wondering because some of those stories are pretty nuts, and I'm wondering if you maybe had a different perspective on them.
No, everything was just kind of like, it was like a small brotherhood, and it was like a badge of honor, and people were hesitant to, when you came in and you had that tag, single NV2, it made me feel like it was like a badge, it made me feel good. And they actually had my back. Like, There wasn't any kind of shit talking behind anyone's back. We all had these group meetings and be in the same chat room together. And it felt they felt like more friends to me than friends that I had in the real world. It meant something to me, and I'm sure it meant something to all of us that were involved. We made each other feel like we belonged, and it felt good.
What happened at the group meetings?
Just it was really like what are we involved in today? Um, and I say meetings, but it was more just like the hangout place, you know. And this guy was saying this crew was saying this. I'm working on this exploit. Um, Anyone have nons? Anyone have fish? I'm trading 5,000 fish for something. Does anyone have, I'm working on this API call that I can't get for AOL Germany, like the, just normal stuff of what we were all personally doing. And all my programs, they kind of sucked, but they looked nice. So I didn't really have a lot to add to the crew aside from my scamming abilities, and that was just persistence and repetition. So I like to feel like I was more valuable, but I was just a people person, I think, and had fish and cards.
Right on. So the programs you made, were they like carding programs or fishing programs or what?
I made a lot of things, little things. Fish tanks were like my favorite to make, just holding fish and checking fish and stuff. And I used to make a lot of those for some reason. I think just because I liked that. That was kind of my niche. So having a good fish tank was something that you needed, and I wanted it to say my name when people used it in the chat. And the probably the best thing I ever made programming was a friend of mine that had nothing to do with the scene at all would come over, and it was kind of hard to have like friends that had no idea what you were up, what you were doing, and maintain that same relationship. So he would just like to go talk to girls online. So I said, "Here, well, let me make you a program," and he could put in whatever he wanted for age, ASL, whatever, and it would automatically go into the room, and it would try to source him. Got pics, got pics, got pics, got pics. So he just loved that I would make him his own account, and then he would just go and try to meet girls and stuff. And I think that was like the most fun making that, and it was totally useless only to him. It was specific to Paulie, and that's all he did. Got pics, got pics. You could enter different, you could say you're, 15 from California, and just it would just do it in every room. Super simple, and he got a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Did he meet anybody or just a bunch of dudes?
But that was just my buddy, my friend that lived with me.
No, I mean with the program, did he actually meet anybody, or was it all people just posing as girls?
Probably both. I don't think any of us ever really knew who we were talking to outside of our specific group of friends. I've heard of people that were just totally making things up. That were personas that people were adults, and I can't really say who he was talking to. I know that wasn't my thing. I really didn't care anything at all about meeting girls on there. It was I wanted those cards.
So when you were in NV2, were you there when anybody got like in trouble for anything?
I wasn't. I came back when I was pretty certain that I was going to be all right with my case. And then I heard of like, this person got busted, this person got raided, so and so ran and threw his computer out into a swimming pool when they raided him, and then I was like, whoa, this is serious. I don't know. Someone said Secret Service, but I don't think it was Secret Service. I think it was FBI. But when I came back and heard all that, technology, AOL, and everything had moved on so much that I was like, I can't. Who was it? Was it someone was just talking about having the lightning bolt next to their name in a chat room in a previous episode I listened to, and when I came back, that was a thing, and I was like, what is this? What is this lightning bolt? And they like held the room, and they could kick you out, and that was new. And I was like, man, everything changed. All the API, none of my chat sends worked. Everything was different, and it just wasn't the same anymore.
Yeah, so it sounds like you got out at the right time,
Yeah. Yes, I
right?
did. I did. I don't know. Was it the right time? I mean, for me, yeah, probably. But I kind of felt like I should have been there. Because everyone ended up getting in a lot of trouble, and and I was just as guilty doing all this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess either path you went down, it it would have been law enforcement, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. My case that I had to do the full 5 of the probation, and um, it, they were serious. They were serious about sending me to prison because I did get off so light as opposed to, or compared to the crime that I committed. So I think either way, yes, you are correct. I got out at the right time, and everything went the way it probably should have for me to be here today, because I would have probably just been getting out of prison, within the last couple of years if I would have screwed my first case up. And if I would have screwed that case up with a federal crime, who knows what that could have turned into.
So where did the single name come from?
Um, I was originally gonna go by 3, um, 'cause it was $3 bill. I thought it was like the Limp Bizkit album. I thought it was like a cool name. And then I was like, 3, 3, and I just didn't like the way that sounded. And then someone at a gas station said, "Do you got just a single dollar bill?" And I was like, "Single dollar bill, single, single." And then it was single. And I think my first screen name was X single 97X. And yeah, I think that was when I adopted the name, and then it was that forever. And people used to say, when I would go in the room and you'd announce who you were, because everyone always was on a different screen name all the time, so you had to put the dash and then who you were. And people would say, "What do you mean, man? Like, no, I got a girlfriend." And I'm like, "No." I can't remember who it was. Might have been Majestic. I would say single, not gay, because people thought I was like trying to pick them up by letting them know that I'm single or something. So, but eventually I didn't have to do that anymore. But at the beginning, I had to let people know I wasn't, telling them my marital status.
Yeah, I can see that being confusing.
It was confusing. It was. But then once you got to know it, then I was just single. So that's where that came from. Do you have a moment I could tell you a quick story? Just a AOL.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So a guy kind of took me under his wing, total programming dude, super good at what he did. He went by Filth back then. And I think he was probably 6 or 7 years older than me. So if I was 12, he was like pushing 18. And we were good friends, and he started a skateboarding company. Then I left the scene later on, and I never heard from him again. I started to work at this factory when I was like 23, and worked with a guy who used to live in New Jersey. And I ended up adding him on Facebook when I still use Facebook. And I'm looking at the page, and people that were commenting on this guy I worked with page, I'm going, Jeff. And I'm looking, and I go, he's from the same place in New Jersey. Long story short, the guy who's Filth taught me how to program. He ended up working at a stereo shop in New Jersey with this dude who was 500 miles away now, or 600, working with me in a factory in the middle of nowhere. And I ended up reconnecting with him, and now we've known each other. It's been 25 years. His kids are all big, and it was just this crazy small world thing where I reconnected with a guy from the programming scene through a person at work. Stayed away. It was kind of a cool thing.
That's nuts, man. That's cool.
Yeah, it was extremely and I was fortunate too because he was a super nice guy, and I was 12, and he, like, put up with a lot of my stupid baloney questions about, "How do I make the command button turn colors?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and now he's successful, and he's got a successful skateboarding company, and I was really happy to reconnect with him through this weirdo dude that I worked with.
That's funny.
Definitely.
What else do you remember from back then?
Um, Screen names were the thing I remember the most, and the different and cool ways that people would acquire them, and the things they would come up with, and just all the different variations of these screen names they were just a thing of beauty. And I remember that being like, you got to get the cool screen names. You have to have the good stuff. And I remember that being chasing after those screen names. And I think I'm the last leg of this cracker that was still working right near the end. I cracked Singie, and I thought that was just like the best thing ever. So then, I uppercased the second I, and I had single, and I pulled connected the aim to it, and then I had that aim forever, and I didn't even use it because on aim, the lowercase didn't even look right. But screen names, I remember screen names the most, and just busting chops with everybody. I remember Epics and Tune were on a run, and Epics and I convinced all these people that we were brothers and we lived in the same house. So we'd have like a little instant message going saying, "Go tell him this," and then we were telling each other, "Okay, he told me to say this," and then we're saying this, and just to bust chops. It was a lot of chop busting, and it was fun. And the nostalgia that everybody talks about is real. And I don't think there will ever be anything like that again.
Yeah, for sure.
That live, like Reddit and everything is, there's a delay. There's that small delay where people have time to think about their response, and we were just rapid fire right into a room, bam, 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 and then someone would come in. It was like a bar that was just open 24 hours a day, and maybe you were in there, and then someone would come in and, "Oh, wow, look at that. He's got an indented screen name. How did you get that?" Haha. And if you didn't know him, well, then you're on the hunt now. Now you got to get the indent. So those are fun times. It was all good stuff. Yeah, man.
Nice. It sounds like there was certainly some times where the group would kind of be on the hunt or like in attack mode.
Yes.
Can you talk about some more of those?
They only happened a couple times, like right at the beginning, because when people started getting wiped out, it was clear that the people were outmatched. And I wish I could remember any of the specific crews or the people who rivaled us, but it was only a couple times, and they were done quick. And then they were screenshots of people begging, and screenshots of order forms to people's houses, and pictures from people's houses, like where the Suburbans are all out front. My dad got handcuffs put on him because of you guys, stuff like that. So once the word got around that was like a real thing, it didn't happen. There wasn't a whole lot of, we were pretty much the top at that point.
Screenshots of people begging. Can you maybe unpack that a bit?
Yeah. Oh, like it would be a private conversation between, any member of the crew, whoever somebody had a connection to. And let's just say, a washer and dryer just showed up at their house in their mother's name, and they were requesting, $2,000 for this delivery. They would message one of our guys and just say, please stop doing this. I'll do whatever. I'll pay you. I'll do whatever. I'll delete AOL. I'll just begging for it to stop, because we had nothing but time, and we would figure out how to make your life unlivable for a while. So I've watched many kids beg, and I think some adults at the time as well too, like, please stop doing this. Stop having the fire department banging on our door at 4 o'clock in the morning. Um, we used to laugh. We would laugh about it. Ha ha ha. And then I think just like anything, you get kind of bored of it. Now when you're at the top, what do you do? You know, well, we all know what ended up happening when you're at the top. You can find something to do. But I was never at the top. I don't think I was just kind of there. I was just a dude that was there, and I had a lot of friends.
How do you get handcuffs on someone's dad?
What I'm guessing would have been if I were allegedly, if I were to theorize, you'd be saying that you might say something about you're gonna kill the whole family. There would be a call placed to some agency, and you'd say, "I'm here. I'm gonna kill my entire family if you don't get here right now," and then to this address, and then they go to that address, and everybody goes in handcuffs till they figure out what's going on. And if an agency's under the impression that the father of the home is going to kill everybody, they're going to come in the home and they're going to yank him up. I mean, and this was 20 years ago. I don't really know if that would still work these days, but I mean, maybe. Yeah.
Any regrets?
Yeah. But no. I mean, yes and no. I do have some regrets, but really, I try not to let regrets bother me because they all kind of made me and taught me and made me the person I am today. I do wish that I didn't do so much scamming because it's
Really, the scamming? It's not the handcuffs on people's dads. It's the scamming.
Yeah, you know why? Because and this is the way. It's like when you're living and doing street life stuff. It happens, you're in this thing. You are in there saying things about people you shouldn't have, and that's what comes with it. But these other people, I'm collecting chat rooms for 6 hours. I got 10,000 names, and I just send out 10,000 emails, and they're all just obviously not very savvy and just typing their life away, everything into this random site. Like now, it might even work still. I don't know. But those are the things that I wish I didn't do. Like my wife's grandmother, she ended up getting, by an Indian scammer. He scammed her out of $2,000. And I'm like, I grandfathered this here, son. We pioneered this thing that you're doing to my grandmother here. So those are the things I kind of feel a little bit bad about all these years later, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I've definitely had some family members get scammed by stuff, and it's sad,
right,
man. It's
right.
really sad.
It is, and then I think like, yeah, well, look what you did there. I'm like, yeah, and I try to justify it to myself, but as an adult, I say, dude, you were wrong. You shouldn't have been doing that. So.
Right on. Are you still in touch with anyone from NV2?
No, I actually just reached out to a couple people. Once I found your show, it kind of led me to start thinking about people, and I reached out to a couple people, and I heard back from one of them, and he was like, "Dude, are you serious right now? You're here?" And Neo, super good dude, and I just started talking with him a little bit, and we caught up for a minute. But him and Jeff Filth, those are the only people that I still talk to, and I don't know where everyone else went.
Do you ever go on re-AOL, the Discord?
No, I limited my social media and different things because I got a business, and that like consumes so much of my time that I try to stay away from stuff that I know I'll ended up getting addicted to. And like, that's why I got rid of Facebook and got rid of all these other things, because I have a problem with getting too involved. And I know that something like that would just completely overtake my life. So I reached out to a couple people on Instagram, and if they get back to me, they get back to me. And if not, we'll all come together again at some point when we're old. But yeah, I gotta know what I can do and what I can't do and what I can get involved with. That's a part of the program. Like when I got clean off of drugs and alcohol, you have to learn. You gotta have willpower to say no sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta know your triggers and stuff. I had a problem with Diablo 2 for a while.
Oh, I had a problem with DayZ. I had to get rid of it. So yeah.
Nice. So what are you up to these days?
I started a small company, and I make graffiti products, and I got kids, and I work, and I do strip floors for a living, and that's it. And I am so far disconnected from technology that I'm like lost when it comes to that stuff now.
So what's your graffiti company do?
We just make like custom things to do graffiti with, like scribes, which are for cutting into glass. We have custom inks that you can use to do your artwork or graffiti, and do clothing here and there, t-shirts and super limited stuff, all handmade. And that's new. That's within the last 5 years I started that, and it's really building steam, and it's a lot of fun. And I get to meet a lot of cool people from all around the world, and yeah. So I don't even know, I don't even know where that's going to take me. I just got ended up getting done doing a collaboration with this company that sent me a $1,300 mini fridge, and I had to just like draw on it, and I got to keep it to basically ruin their refrigerator, and they gave me it to do that. So hopefully things like that keep happening, and maybe this can end up being something.
Cool. And what's the website?
Mine,
Yeah.
devastatorbrand.com.
Devastatorbrand.com. Nice.
Yeah, devastatorbrand.com. And it's definitely from the Transformer Devastator. The Constructicons formed him, and I always thought he was just like the top of the top. So
I was actually just about to ask you that. I got goosebumps. Like, I ordered all the Constructibots, I think like 10 years ago on eBay, just out of nostalgia. And like, they all went up in price.
just to
But
do
then
it.
like I let my kids play with them, and of course they broke them. But
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Yes, kids, they break everything.
No, you're not playing with it right. Oh, you're gonna break it.
Oh yeah.
Lesson learned, Dad. Lesson learned.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, that's what I'm up to now. And if anyone ever wants to say, hey, um, devastatorbrand.com, send me an email, or devastatorbrand on Instagram. Say hey. And I miss a lot of people, and I actually have I got love, as cliche as that might sound. I never had any bad feelings towards anyone, and I think I left on good terms with everybody, and I love all those guys for carrying me through.
Nice. Is there anything else you want to cover today?
I think that was about the rundown of it. I didn't have a spectacular. A lot of these guys have these awesome stories, and I was just kind of run of the mill. I just got around in the social circles and knew people. So I didn't have a big extravagant story, but I had a lot of fun though, and I miss it.
Nice, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
Welcome to cyberspace.